It's no secret that the construction industry has a branding problem. We're seen as slow, wasteful, and stuck in the past. It doesn't have to stay that way, and it ain't going to take a genius to fix it either. As Gary Ridge says in his new book, any dumbass can do it. Any dumbass that's willing to show up, learn, lead, and remove the waste. That's how we rebrand this industry. The Rebranding Construction podcast is for the builders, the thinkers, the learners, and the doers. The ones who are sick of the stupidity and the bureaucracy that's just slowing everything down. Waste, confusion, and frustration, they're our real enemies. We're here to replace them with clarity, culture, and execution. Because here's the truth. Big change doesn't necessarily come from big leaps. It comes from small wins stacked up daily. Welcome to Rebranding Construction, where we turn common sense into common practice. And where a better tomorrow isn't a bullshit slogan, it's the standard. Right, 9 forgotten fundamentals that could save the snowy hydro. This all came about this episode of Rebranding Construction podcast. I went to the movies yesterday with my wife. I went and watched the latest David Attenborough documentary. If you haven't seen it, you need to go and see it, called Ocean. In there, they spoke to some data. We're going to talk to let the data tell the story in a moment, or why that's vitally important. The overarching theme, or the big idea from the whole documentary, is this thing's fixable. We don't have to do anything magical to fix it. We need to just stop doing stupid stuff that we're doing to the ocean. In fact, if we do that, we just stop doing the stupid stuff that we're doing to the ocean, in 30% of the ocean, the whole thing will recover quite quickly. It's already, there's sections that they've tried and tested this on, and they've recovered within 5 years back to teeming with fish. Stuff that was stripped bare is back and running as nature intended that it should be. If you haven't seen the documentary, get across and watch it. Absolutely brilliant. And it's one of those things where it's out of mind, out of sight. What we're doing to the ocean is way worse than what we're doing to the environment above land, just as hidden out of sight. And that's another lesson that's vitally important in construction projects as well. It's the things that we don't see going on all the time. That's why we're going to speak to these non-forgotten fundamentals, things that we've forgotten about. We knew all of these things, and we used to do these things well. They're really killing us. They're the real problem. Anyway, instead of opinions, let's let data, as a good mate of mine says, let the data tell the story. So this data that I'm going to share with you today is taken from this book, How Big Things Get Done. So the data, this is called the iron law of project management. These are the odds of the project actually succeeding before it even started. So they studied over 16,000 projects. They've taken this data across, okay? Everything from home renovations to space exploration, mines, everything in between. Okay? So 0.5% of projects finish on time, on budget, and they deliver the benefits that they said they're going to do, what they forecast they were going to deliver, whether that's income, whatever it was. 0.5%. 8.5% finish on budget and on time or better. They get both of those things right, but they don't deliver the forecasted upside. They're just on time and on budget. 47.9% finish on budget or better. That's out of all projects. So it was doomed, or just off of those. The odds of it being a success right from the start, straight out of the gate, were pretty low. Let's look at some even more specific data, which is hydroelectric dams. So the mean overall cost on a hydroelectric dam is 75% above the original budget, targeted budget. 37% of the projects that happen run past that. They run into what they call the tail in overruns. Okay, so 37, I'd say snow hydro already sits in there. If you sit in there, it's sitting in the tail, your overrun's not 75% anymore. The average, remember this is the average, so some go way higher, some a bit lower, but a lot go way higher. Average means that you've got a 186% overrun. If you look at this book, And it speaks to in this book, projects don't so much go wrong as they start out wrong. Snowy Hydro has started out wrong. They're pretty much every mistake that you can make to make a project overrun has been made on the Snowy Hydro. If you haven't read that book or listened to it, grab it on Audible and get cracking with it. Right. That, as David Attenborough says, is a downside, but it's not all bad news. We can reverse this with some basic fundamentals, or stop the bleeding, so to speak. And I'm just going to put you on P1 so you stop moving around. That'll fix, lock you in so you can see exactly what I'm talking to here. All right. For those that have read or understand Goldratt's rules of flow, you'll know that this is built off of it, these fundamentals. Reason, theory of constraints built on physics. So it's no great surprise that they're the fundamentals that we need to focus on. All right. Avoid, number one, avoid bad multitasking. So when I first read this, I always thought there was no good multitasking. As it says in the book Scrum, people don't multitask because they're good at it. And what they mean by multitask is they've got 15,000 windows open. Engineers classic for this. They'll have 8 drawings running. They'll have their email pinging. Their phone will be going off beside them. Social media beeps, notifications will be coming through. Teams is running at the same time. There's 6 to 8 different programs hitting them from different directions. That's bad multitasking. Oh, yeah, bad multitasking. The only good multitasking there is when you look at a project from theory of constraint perspective, we need everything to be moving at the same pace, all the different disciplines. We need the civils going and the structural coming in behind the civils, the mechanical come behind the structural, the sparkies coming behind and the commissioning coming behind them. Think at it as a defensive line in rugby league. Everyone, when the defensive line works properly, is when everyone moves up in a straight line. If you've got 2 forwards that are lagging in the middle, 2 wingers are going up really quick, everyone's staggered, everyone's all over the place, which is the typical construction site, then it doesn't work well, okay? So avoid bad multitasking. As it says in the book Scrum, people don't multitask because they're good at it. They do it because they can't focus. Get back to fundamentals. Get people to work on one thing at a time. Focus on what they're doing. Finish what they start, or finish as you go. Second fundamental, control your WIP, works in progress. Somewhere along the line, we decided in the construction industry that this was a good phrase. It's like, we've got to get as many work fronts as we can open as quickly as we can. Wrong. It's not. That's a recipe for disaster where bad multitasking starts. No one's finishing anything properly. We love to start new things. We don't like to finish the old things. When you actually box people in and constrain them, theory constraints, funnily enough, then you get more done. I had this on a project that we're on last year. We were building cells. We had 18 cells to build, right? And funnily enough, the fastest we ever moved was between cells 16 and 18, when everyone was compressed. They only had 2 cells to work on at the time, and everyone would have said you can't work on that many cells, it'd be overcrowded, all the rest of it, and it wasn't. Our daily EV was the highest there ever was when they were compressed into that small area and they didn't have too many choices, couldn't spread out and put 15,000 people across 15,000 things and finish nothing. They had to finish the work off because that's all they had to do. So the second one's vitally important. Control your WIP. This one here, I've never seen this with all the technology that we have these days, BIM, logistics, tracking, QR codes, all the rest of it. I've never seen this done well on a project yet. And that is verify full kit. Make sure you've got everything. My old man, when we used to work for him as apprentice, he was absolutely fanatical about this, verify full kit. If you had a crane coming to a job, and this is when we're apprentices, right? If you didn't have the bolts, if you didn't have all the spanners that you needed, the washers, the drawings, everything that you needed to be able to put that job together that the crane was coming to do, that was hell to pay. If you didn't have it every morning when we started the shift, if you didn't have tape on your hip and sharp chalk in your pocket, again, that was hell on because you hadn't verified full kit. Hopefully we've still got, why have we gone to that? that's dropped. Okay, no worries. Little technology blip, but that's all good. We're back again. Verify full kit. Fundamental, basics. Go back to getting the fundamentals right. I used to work with a guy years and years and years ago, and I always speak to fundamentals. I always have. That was why I was trained as an apprentice. You got to get the fundamentals right. And if you look through all sporting guys, everyone that's good at what they do in their field, they've nailed the fundamentals. And I used to often talk to these things to him. And you know what he used to say to me? And as soon as I said something that was a fundamental, he used to go, Beanie, we know about this. We're not effing idiots. And I used to stand there thinking to myself, you know about this, yet you don't do it. Yes, you are an effing idiot. So, unfortunately, their business, the guys that I kept telling these fundamentals that we need to get in place. I was East Coast operations manager for them for a time. A few years after I left, they folded. They folded because they're doing the same thing that they're doing on the snow hydro, is that they've forgotten how to get the fundamentals right. All right, next one. Interest one, this one. Triage your priorities. Should really be priority. We need to know, if we know where the constraint in the system is, if we know where that is from theory of constraint, we can control the whole system by creating a higher throughput through the constraint. So it should actually be priority. If you go, there's a guy called Greg McKeown, wrote a book called Essentialism, and he's written another book. I can't think of it right off the top of my head now. It'll come to me in a minute. And he talks about, until the late 1940s or somewhere in the mid 1940s, the word priorities wasn't even a word. It was either priority or it wasn't priority. So you need to triage that. What is the priority for this crew today? What's the number one thing? If you can't get it down to priority, give them three. Give them their top three that they need to work on. Not easy stuff that they can just go and tick and flick and get done for the day. Hard stuff. Must be done in the shift. What's the top three? Where's the priority lie? All right. What we got here? Sync, tasks, resources, and people. I have a bit around about this, around about the Gantt chart, where the Gantt chart doesn't do this well. What I use is what's known as attack plan. Does it far more powerfully than the Gantt chart ever does. All the Gantt chart people jump up and down, say it does, people just don't follow it. Maybe people don't follow it properly. But it doesn't give them clear direction about how to sync those resources, task resources, and people. Again, back in the old days, a lot of it was run off a whiteboard, and it was simple and easy, and it got done because it was a fundamental and we did it well. We've lost that ability to be able to do that. If we're really struggling and we just can't, we found the constraint, we're moving the constraint as fast as we can, and yet everything else is moving faster than the constraint, the only other option we then have is to increase our dosage. So we need to slow the other crews down. We need to give the constraint longer to get its work done. So we need to slow everyone else down to let the constraint move at the same speed. So they all move at the same speed. This goes back to avoid your bad multitask. This might be where good multitasking comes in. So we increase the dosage, but we also need to put more people there. So we might pull people off of other fronts that are in front of it. We take them, we use them on this one that's behind to keep it moving at the same speed. But you may get to the point where it just can't move any quicker. So you must increase the amount of time. It's no good just forecasting that is going to take, and this was one, it was a big project in WA. Just a couple of years ago, one on during COVID. Won't say the direct name of it, but what they used to do is they would get behind on schedule, so they just re-baseline. So they were actually doing the reverse. They were decreasing the dosage. They weren't able to keep up with what they were forecasting they were going to do. So they just re-baseline, so we can catch up, and they'd be in front because they decreased the amount of work that had to happen in the front end. So they'd be on track for a couple of weeks, but surely they would get further and further behind, and that would compound. Increasing dosage, when you've got the real problem, admitting that the problem and increasing the dosage doesn't allow that to happen. Another one that we've got very poor at over the years is rework. Avoid rework. Do it once, do it right. Verify full kit. Often drives a lot of this, a lot of the rework that we've got is because we haven't synced task resources and people, so the gear's not on site. So we'll half start a job or a work front, haven't verified full kit, don't have all the gear to be able to do it, get halfway to it, stop, bolts go in, haven't got the right length bolts. So we'll just put 50 mils in because we don't have 75s. That'll do. We'll just pin it with that. Worst thing, riggers pin and steel. Don't pin it, you bolt, put it in, you finish it off, you walk away, you're done. I used to have a rigger work for me years ago, old Jono. He was fanatical. He is the only guy that I've ever had with me on a project where we didn't have to go and rework it at the end. When you went and walked down and did a punch list with Jono, it was done. Everything was right. He was fanatical about it from the time that the riggers started putting the first bolt in. The bolt wasn't right, it didn't go in. Got to verify the full kit, sync our task resources and people so that we're not continuously going back, because we're burning up to, I think rework is something like 6 to 8 times more expensive than what it costs to do the job right in the first place. The stuff's not there, it's not ready to go. You have a purchasing problem or a delivery problem, you're out of sync, you haven't synced these up, you haven't triaged your priorities. Get that. Stop going and trying to move quicker. Sometimes you've got to slow down to speed up. Stop trying to just move quicker and go, we'll just come back and do it later. We just get it up in the air. Pipe work is another classic one. At the start of a project, they'll be behind, so they start what they do. They weld lengths of pipe together, stuff it in the rack just to get it up there. Never mind that there's OLEDs that have got to go on there. There's flanges that they've missed. Valves that are missing, all that sort of stuff. So you end up in the pipe rack doing stuff that should have been done on the ground. Avoid your rework. Number 8 is the uniqueness bias. I can't remember what S is. For rework, I'm going to have to come back to you on that one in the comments. I'll write what S is, but people always assume that what they're doing, the project that they're on, is unique to everything else. Oh, someone's just give me a thumbs down. Thanks for that. Good on you. They assume that the project they're on unique, has a unique set of problems. We've done this work over and over and over, multiple different places. Stop looking at it from, this is so hard because we don't have, my old man also used to have a saying, and that saying was, you're not using what you already got properly yet. So whenever we went to him and asked him for resources, whether it's extra people, cranes, tools, whatever it was, his first comment always was, you're not using what you already got properly yet. Start looking at your resources, see what you've got that you can use to help you move quicker. All right, let's just do a quick recap to make sure that we've covered everything off. Is the real problem budget or scope? Or what else did we forget? We let the data tell a story there. It told us that odds of us getting this project out on time were next to none. Fix the unfixable. 9 rules that will still work on the toughest projects. We've gone through those, you know, all of those. We acknowledge the chaos, the blown out budget and the missed timelines and the site dysfunction. We know what's causing it. What if the problem isn't the scope or a plan? It's what we forgot because we didn't triage, we didn't have full kit. Showing the board the 9 fundamentals, you've got that. I'm just going through, these are my notes from ChatGPT, just making sure I've covered off everything that I've done. We've covered the snow hydro situation. What this does, we didn't cover this yet. There's a book called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. In there, Patrick Lencioni has a quote. It says, if you could get all of the people in an organisation rowing in the same direction, you could dominate any industry and any market at any time. That works the exact same way for a construction project. You get all the people heading in the same direction, you'll dominate. These fundamentals are the glue that holds everyone together, gets them all heading in the same direction. All right, so we're going to close this off right now. Avoid your bad multitasking. Control your whip. Verify your full kit. Triage your priorities. Sync your tasks, resources, and your people. If need be, increase your dosage. Avoid your rework. Now, I still haven't remembered what S is. I actually put this up a couple of weeks ago, that's why I've forgotten it. But I will drop that in the comments, specifically for the person that gave me the thumbs down. Still gives me, believe it or not, thumbs down, thumbs up makes no difference. It actually means that someone's interacted with the video and it gives me more reach. So thanks for that. Take it, use it, and make it a great week. If you're on the snow hydro and this has resonated with you, looking for someone to come down and help out, reach out. LinkedIn's the best place to get me, linkedin.com/AskAdamBean. Reach out, organise a time to catch up for a chat. I'll run you through how we can help you out. Speak soon.